Hi YouTube. It's always really nice to talk to you guys. So there's a few videos that I've been meaning to do, but this one is something that has been pulling at me for a while, and I was really looking for the right way to approach it. And recently, a couple weeks ago now, I watched a video from Darth Silver and Mass that I absolutely loved. And, I'd really appreciate it if you could just pause this video. I'll link it in the description box. If you could just watch it really quick. It's a 3-minute video. I just think he did a great job with it. And he's basically beginning a journey of self-improvement. Okay, and this is a guy that I think is a real class act and somebody that I'll be rooting for hard. And I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. I love when somebody basically puts their foot down and says, you know what, I want to be better. I know I can be better. I'm going to expect more from myself here. And that's basically what he's doing. But the way that he put it together was perfect. And again, just please just pause this video and head over there and then come back. And there was one little section of the video that really kind of got to me a little bit, and it kind of spurred me to go ahead and do this. He basically had a picture of himself. It looked like maybe his senior year of high school. It was when he was much younger. And it said, how did I let myself go from this? And then the next frame, he's overweight, and to this. And it was a present day picture. And it was basically him saying, enough. I want to do better. I want to do better for my family. And, it got me to thinking, we are a very depressed society. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And one I'd like to focus on particularly in this video. But a lot of that is, you think, okay, in today's day and age, technology is making our lives, as easy as it's ever been, more convenience than we've ever had. Certainly, it would seem that abundant. We are able to acquire things in abundance that at no time in history has the average person been able to acquire, and yet here we are, probably as depressed as we've ever been. Why? I think a lot of it is expectations. You look around, and you have basically a level of life that you expect of yourself, and based on what you see others have, and when you can't achieve that, well, it's tough to be happy. I feel like the 24-hour news cycle. Man is subjected to more information today than at any point in history. And at some point that has to get to you. It was funny. There was a contrast the other day that just kind of made me chuckle. I have a morning routine as I'm going into work. I listen to Bloomberg Radio to basically, listen to the early direction. This is before any news comes out, like any economic reports. So really the futures at 5:45 in the morning, they're not really that meaningful. I still like to ease into the day listening to it. There's a local talk show I listen to, and then I sometimes listen to ESPN Radio, Mike and Mike. Well, the other morning, right at 6 o'clock, it was just a strange contrast how I'm listening to a news report about, Gaza being shelled and, Israeli troops on the move and Palestinians getting killed. And then I hear about the Ukraine update and Russians amassing troops on the border and, discussing the Malaysian airliner that got shot down. And then I flipped to Mike and Mike, to the very opening of the show, and it was like this pop, disco, up-tempo, it's a house party in here, and we're going to talk about sports. And there's such a strange contrast, all these horrific things happening in the world, and here I am listening to Mike and Mike really excited to talk about, I don't know what, Paul George's broken ankle, LeBron James going to Cleveland. I don't know. It was just I guess in some respects, there's no I guessing about it. How fortunate am I to live in a place where, an Indiana Pacers basketball player breaking his ankle qualifies as news, as Palestinians are just trying to hang on and fight for dear life, I don't know. It's pretty humbling. I don't know. You can't help but feel fortunate. And yet here we are, a depressed society. It's very difficult to be productive and to achieve at a high level when you're depressed, when you're unhappy, when you don't have a direction, when you don't have something to work towards. Okay, one thing that I've found is that I'm at my best when I know what I'm working towards and I'm working to achieve it. Goal setting. You know, I know I've banged that drum since the beginning of my channel. I get that. But it's something that's really worked for me because, you know, it's something that I can channel my energy into. And my intention is to be the best that I can. You know, the clock is ticking for me. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, you know, my intention is to be financially independent by the age of 60. And I'll discuss this in a future video, but I don't use the word retirement anymore. I use the term financially independent, and there's reasons for that. But 2030 is not that far away. And boy, I got a long ways to go to get there. So I've got a lot of work to do. And, you know, I'm rolling up my sleeves, I'm grabbing my lunch pail, and I'm doing it. You know, does it give me a sense of purpose? Well, maybe. Maybe I think that's very important. You know, people are not supposed to be stagnant. And yet here we are. Right? So, you know, when I'm working towards something, it just kind of, it kind of puts everything in place. You know, it's funny. Expectations are a funny thing. You know, I think that we all have a vision in our head of where we're supposed to be. And a lot of us put the cart ahead of the horse. You know, we don't put the work in. We basically want to act like we're rich when we're not. And that's what gets you in trouble financially. And that creates holes that you can't dig out of. And I think that a lot of people in this country are like that. And, you know, you can call it what you want, spending beyond your means, but you're basically spending money that you don't have. And you're basically putting yourself in a no-win situation. It's very difficult to achieve what you want to when you've already dug yourself a deep hole. You know, that's one of the keys, I think, to a content, happy life is to basically not set yourself up where failure is really the only option. You know, when you set the bar so high. You know, it's so funny because, just to give you a silly example, you know, a friend of mine was raving about the movie Little Miss Sunshine. Okay, I mean, he just thought it was the most hilarious thing, side-splitting, greatest thing he's ever seen. Wow, that sounds great. I love a good comedy. I like to laugh. That sounds great. So my wife brought it home one night, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. You know, a buddy of mine at work thought this was the greatest comedy he's ever seen. Well, what a steaming pile of hot garbage that movie is. Let me tell you, my expectations were sky high, and it was complete crap. I hated it. I wanted to hang myself halfway through it. I was like, why did he make me watch this? If he didn't sell it the way he did, it would have just been just the normal bad movie I would have forgotten about long ago. But now it's basically flagged in my mind that my buddy has the worst taste in movies. I hated this thing, and I remind him about it every chance I get. High expectations. Now, some of you now have the expectations lower enough that when you watch, you'll be like, what is he talking about? It wasn't so bad. It's all about expectations. You know, there are some things that just simply take a lifetime to learn. And I guess it comes with age. You know, when I was younger, in my teen years were very, very hard on me. It just was. High school was very difficult for me. You know, my family has always battled depression. My grandfather was a depressed guy. My father was a depressed guy. And I guess maybe I'll talk about that more at some point. But, it was just a very difficult time. And because I had moved so much, I had trouble making real friendships. And the one oasis that I had was spending the summers with my grandparents. And one thing that I love to do is I love to play golf with my grandfather. I mean, just to show you how prices have increased, I used to pay $80 for a junior summer membership, and literally I could golf all I wanted all summer long for $80. I mean, ridiculous, right? And we'd get up in the morning, we'd have a nice breakfast, and I'd talk to my grandfather. Hey, what are we playing today? 18, 27, 36? We gonna go for 36 holes, Grandpa? We had all day. And what days they were. What I wouldn't give for another round of golf with my grandfather. And, I was thinking about it the other day, and as much as I love to play, I was really hard on myself. I demanded perfection from myself. And, I was a pretty good golfer, but literally, if I didn't shoot in the low 80s or even break 80, I was angry with myself. It was a failure. Meanwhile, I'm out there with my grandfather, who I wouldn't have for too many more years. And all I can focus on is what my score is or how I'm hitting the ball. Why? What difference did it really make? It wasn't about how well I played. It was about spending that time with my grandfather. Not a single shot from that time is that memorable to me. But being on the course with my grandfather was. And, I can't remember the last time I played with him. Of course, there was a last time. I don't remember when it was. Because I didn't know it was my last time. There wasn't like a ceremony afterwards. There wasn't hugs and tears and everything else. It was just, that was my last time. And, I was 17, I'm sure. So I had the whole, looking ahead and starting to work and girls and cars and everything else that comes with being 17. So I never knew that the last time I played with my grandfather was going to be the last time. And it really, as I think back on it, it really kind of taught me a little bit of a lesson. To really appreciate some of these things and not just demand perfection. Especially, from my kids, from my wife. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy being with them. Like my son, he likes to play sports. Well, you know what? The most important thing is that he's just out there having fun. Because he's not going to be the next LeBron James or David Ortiz or anything else. Okay? He's just going to be a kid enjoying sports, forming relationships with teammates, hopefully some that last a lifetime. And sharing in some experiences, highs and lows, and just let him do his thing. This is stuff that is important, I think, in their development, and not to just demand perfection. A lot of people kind of need to learn that lesson. You see overzealous parents at some of these events, and it's a shame. Because, like I said, there's no closing ceremonies on this kind of stuff. I don't know the last time that I'll throw the baseball to my son. There won't be a bell that's rung afterwards. It'll just happen. And then when the time comes to look back on it, I'll look back on it very fondly. So I'm not really sure how to wrap this up exactly. We're going really long, but the whole point is don't let your self-worth affect your net worth. Okay? Don't let this malaise that you may be feeling, influence your life in highly negative ways. It's a very difficult trap to get out of. You may just find yourself looking back and saying, just as Darth Silver and Mass did, how did I get here? How did I let myself get to this point? Try to turn things around. Figure out what it is that you want. That's a hard question. What do I want? But figure it out. And then develop a plan to get there. And don't expect perfection. Happiness is not an event. It's a process. And, you can get there. But it really has to start with you. This isn't something that anybody can do for you, unfortunately. This is a journey that you're going to have to begin yourself. And, I'm not looking for self-immolation in the comment section. I understand, because I hear from a lot of people that a lot of you are hurting and suffering. I'm just trying to throw it out there and offer words of encouragement that, I've been there myself. And by getting control of my finances the way that I have, okay, has basically brought a lot of perspective back into my life. And a lot of times, things feel like they're beyond your control. Like life is dictating the pace, and all you can do is be on your heels and let things happen to you. Well, what I've learned is by at least getting control over the one thing that I can, and that's how I spend my money, I've been able to kind of turn things around for myself. And it's amazing how many dominoes start falling, or how many puzzle pieces get snapped into place. But it's just a matter of getting control over, certain aspects of your life that may not have been in control before. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon.